Hello and welcome to the 100 Day Art Challenge. This video is number 89 of 100. Yesterday I accidentally said 87. Yesterday's video was number 88. Just in case you didn't see that, I will leave a link in the top right hand corner of the screen now. And today I'm doing probably the hardest painting I've done so far, or it feels like it. The reason is some of these kind of subjects, I suppose, the references that I'm using, I really like the images and I like the scenes because they're from Deadwood, you know, for these last few. And this one has foreshortening in it, which I love foreshortening, but everything became a little bit tricky to describe. Because I'm doing these paintings quite quick, I'm not spending a whole day on them, which I wish I were. I think hopefully tomorrow I might have more time to spend on a painting, but so far I've just had to do things as quickly as possible for several reasons, but time constraints is the main issue. So it means that sometimes things become a little bit more sloppy and loose, and that's what I feel doesn't serve this image very well, because it's got some complicated parts in it and I really wanted to do it justice. Yesterday I really liked the image from yesterday's video, but I didn't like how I achieved the finish, because I just thought it was an inelegant texture and light on such an elegant looking subject. So it's similar today, where it's not exactly flattering, and maybe that's not the point, to flatter the person. Maybe it's just to do a painting and to try and learn something. That is all true. But when you're looking at the subject and you're thinking, oh, I really like this image, but I'm not really achieving the kind of nuance that you see in the show, where it's, you know, the characters kind of got a history and got like this presence to them, and yet they're in this moment where it's very dramatic. So to kind of just describe a little bit of what's going on, is this is a woman holding a gun is what I'm painting. So that weird shape on about the center left is the foreshortened gun barrel, and that's tricky because then you've got this hand coming down holding the gun, but you can barely see the hand because of the position. So it's tricky in that way. And then the light on her face, which I've started already, you can see is it's just constant ugly stages, this painting, and that's what bugs me about it, is that I really wanted to get past the ugly stage of a painting. That is often the case with painting, is that you will find that even if it starts off strong and it finishes well, you'll have an ugly stage in the middle, and that can be the longest stage of a painting, where things just need to have these layers built up before you can finish them off, and the layers being built up are really unpleasant looking. Just like now, it's a hideous looking painting at this stage, and I feel as though I don't escape this stage at all. I feel like it was better as a drawing, you know, early on when I drew the outline that you can see at the top. I feel like that was better looking than anything that happens next, but it's a problem. It's just one of these issues that I came across, and it was just tricky trying to push and pull it as much as I could, because I'm also concerned with paintings looking really amateur. Not as though I expect myself to do professional work, but I'm not trying to make work sit just in a kind of amateur state where something looks cheap in a way, and I feel as though I've not managed to utilize a lot of the tips and tricks that I've learned to push out of that stage. What I just did there was a bit of a mistake. I added what's basically a cool blue light onto the hair, and that's not accurate to the reference, so I just did it so that it was tonally, you know, where the light was, and I need to change that later. There's strange dark shadows all over the place, so I'm trying to find the right tone of the oranges and the pinks and the reds and browns, and trying to get something which is dark enough to describe the shadow colours, and not so dark that it's unrealistic and sits against the other colours, incorrectly. And it really is just me constantly panicking throughout this whole process of this painting, is just going, oh, that's not right, fix that later. Oh, that's not very good. Okay, I'll remix that in a bit, and okay, I'll do that now. And trying to make little adjustments here and there. It's really a case of a good drawing leads to a good painting if you can take your time and make good observations. And if you don't have a good drawing, which, as much as I prefer my drawing, it wasn't a good drawing. It was, marking out with a brush loose proportions. So it's not as though I had a good drawing early on. So I didn't do that very well. And then I didn't make keen enough observations early on, which meant that what I was left with was this rush to push things around and make certain things longer and some other things not so long, and trying to change the angle of certain parts, and just constantly adjusting things. So here's me changing the hair to a warmer yellow. Well, actually it's a cool yellow, but it's warmer than the blue, because it's more accurate to her hair colour and tonally equivalent, or somewhat tonally equivalent. So just trying to show this is where the light is. Aside from the light on her face, there's light from the other side, and I'm just trying to describe that somehow. And then trying to show a mid-tone, a light mid-tone that's not as light as the highlights, but it doesn't quite work. Again, it's not quite right. The colours don't go together well, and trying to push the darks around. So I'm sorry, for this whole video I'm going to be squirming and just really uncomfortable watching this process, because I don't like the painting that I do here. But I am really trying, just as the light around the face against the hair to me was too harsh, and I thought I can't have a sharp edge against the hair because it's unnatural. So I put this grey colour around the top of her forehead, you can see there, just to have an adjustment from the warm colour of the brown of the hair to the cooler pink colour of the top of her head, which is not especially cool, but it's too cool from the brown. It's just too sharp a transition from one to the other, and I just needed something to be in between. So the grey was some kind of transitional colour between those two, and then I tried to apply that to several other parts of her body, onto her arm and down her wrist, and all these types of little touches here and there, just to try and fix things that don't look right. And then I make a spot of white somewhere and it's too bright, so I rub it with my finger to deaden it slightly and to try and move in a rub of the brown from the background or the black from the barrel of the gun, anything to kind of lessen the kind of impact of a bright highlight, and just whirling around from one point to the next and just thinking, oh, this isn't right, this doesn't look good. But there we are. That is the struggle that I went through in this submission. I'm glad I did it. It's not a regret that I actually did this submission, because you have to have these paintings happen for you to think, never again. I'm never letting this type of issue happen again. And I say that I have tomorrow's painting to do, so it's always going to be a fear that you do have these problems. I mean, look at that on the hand, it just becomes a complete bruising. So it's always trying to just fix problems that I make. So yeah, this could happen again, but I'm reassuring myself that I will make sure that I keep pushing to do better paintings than this, because this is now going to go up on my Instagram as well. So I don't love the idea of that, but that's part of this challenge, is just to upload whatever you do. And I'm not going to like the fact that people are going to scroll through my Instagram from time to time and see a painting like this, because it's not what I want to represent who I am as a interviewer of artists, or a producer of YouTube videos, or editor and filmer of videos, and whatever else I do throughout my life. This will be something which people will look at and I'll think, oh, it's not good. It's so, I don't know, amateur hour type of painting. It's not as though everything I've done before this has been great, but I'm just saying that this is especially tricky for me because of several things that I didn't like about it. But I love the program Deadwood, I love this character, and I love this moment in the program. If you haven't seen it, I do recommend it. It's a great show. It's a little rough, so if you don't like harsh language and brutal treatment, you might not like it, but if you can get through things like that, if you've got through Sopranos and Breaking Bad and things like that, then Deadwood isn't too much worse than that. I really like it as a program. I think it's very good. But yeah, this is the piece that I did. I wish it had a really nice looking stage at the end where I said this is where I clean it up, but I don't, so this is what it looks like. But I hope you enjoyed the video, and just like me, I hope you're learning things along with me. But that's what I've managed to do for today. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks very much for watching, and as always, I will see you for submission number 90. So I'm getting through the challenge bit by bit. I'll see you for that one tomorrow.